Okay, hello, this is Wmpyr here to introduce to you guys a manga that will probably uh, never go outside of Japan. And it is a martial arts manga, one of my favorites. Um, and I recently, a little while back, finally completed. It goes from volumes 1 through 18, and I was finally able to complete it. At home, I only have like up to like 13 or 14. So, using the technology from the cell phone app, I was able to finish it. And of course, it's in Japanese, but yeah. So anyway, I thought, why don't I introduce this to y'all? And let me see, how can I explain this? It is a martial arts manga. Okay, and so there's lots of martial arts manga um, written over the years, and this one is my favorite. Why? Because it blends in comedy with the martial arts, and like for example, the one that here in the U.S. that you might be the most familiar with is Grappler Baki. Compared to Grappler Baki, this is this has comedy in there. You know, it's flat out comedy plays a big part in it. I think you can take a look at the main character's face. He has like almost like an emoji looking face that is very plain looking. Like you, a lot of times you don't even see a nose. It's just his eyes and his mouth. Um, but from there, the author is actually a very good artist, and even though the main character has such a simplified face, I think it was like more to just show you that this is just a normal guy. He's a nobody. He's a high school kid that's a nobody. Um, to represent the plain average Joe kind of thing, but uh, the artist also puts in a lot of like crazy exaggerated facial expressions on mostly him, but all the other characters too. And I really, really like that kind of art style. It's almost like Ratfink. It's like this grotesque, exaggerated facial expressions that you could kind of see with Volume 11 right there. You could see a little bit of that, but I mean, way more exaggerated than that. So that definitely ties into the comedy. Compared to Grappler Baki, it's a comedy, but also I feel like this is way more realistic. So with Grappler Baki, you got this kid who's like his dad defeated the United States of America. um, and yeah, they do stuff like that in Grappler Baki, and he is the son of the strongest species in the world, and to see Grappler Baki just be like this amazing protege and just be able to defeat everybody, and he's pursuing his dad, because they don't have a good relationship, kind of thing, right? Um, that story is just it's just not as believable to me compared to this, where this is an average guy who's a loser that wants to not be a loser anymore. He wants to become popular. He wants, his love interest. He wants the pretty girl in class to like him. It's more like I could relate to this everyday Joe kind of guy. And there's nothing. He's just a really thin, small guy, and he starts training he joins the kickboxing club in his high school. And from there, um, this is the fun part. The coach, it's a small, barely operating club, and the coach is puts him through crazy training, and the crazy training is part of the humor. It's like almost like Mr. Miyagi type of training in the Karate Kid, but more sadistic. So like you would see in the Karate Kid where Daniel-san gets fed up. He's like, I was your damn slave, and I'm doing. I'm painting your fence and cleaning your car and come on, the famous wax on wax off type stuff, right? He's like, you're supposed to teach me, and what the hell is this? I'm just being a slave. Well, it's kind of like that. This guy is put through the pace. He's training and doing like stuff that has seemed like it's a joke, like a bad joke, and he's scared because he's about to fight somebody. So he's training his butt off, and a lot of times he doesn't even want to fight. He's forced into these situations, and so he's training because he's scared. He has nothing else that he can do. He has no choice, and the training, like I said, is like crazy. Like some of the stuff is he had to go feed a cat under a house. That this was an extremely hostile cat, and so when he goes to give the cat its food, he has to crawl under a home, right? He crawls under, there's like a crawl space underneath the home, and that's where the cat's hiding, and he has to go put the food in there, but the cat like is super hostile and violent, and it comes after him. So from that position he has to crawl back out like super fast, and you the readers go, okay, he's getting some kind of weird training where he's crawling really fast back outward. How is that going to help him, you know and then in the match you get to see it. You get to see that he actually uses that kind of motion, and it turns into a technique, and you go, wow, that's wild that translated to that. Or there was one where he was one of the more memorable ones where he was at a cross-dressing bar, and he's fully cross-dressed, and he's working at this bar, and it's like, how is that supposed to help him? So they put him through wild training, and then in the match, it's like a Sherlock Holmes reveal moment where they actually show you how that training helped him and what kind of technique it turns into. So that's always cool. It's funny and it's cool. And the people that he's fighting, what I like is, even though he joined the kickboxing club, he fights people from other styles. So in the first two, one was a street fight with a boxer. The next one was an actual match in front of the entire high school where he had to fight one of the top guys from the boxing club. So it was kickboxing club versus boxing club. And then after that, he got messed with the judo guys. And then from there, he ends up in a death match against a karate dude. And then after that, there was an exchange student from the U.S. who was a boxer, but also a savate, cross-trained in savate. And this guy used like a Muhammad Ali style of boxing. Plus, he also used a Mike Tyson style of boxing. So this is basically another kickboxer from the U.S. Ken Jackson is an amazing athlete that he had to fight. This guy was almost like a high school version of Muhammad Ali, just a super athlete. And our main boy, who's just a thin, small Japanese kid, has to go up against this super athlete kid. And then after that, he goes up against a Russian exchange student, Gorayev, who is a savate guy, but his main style is Russian military combatives, and that was probably my favorite match. That was a wild one. And then another one after that was so that was a big size difference. It was almost like Rocky, where you're seeing him go up against Ivan Drago. It was kind of like that. And then the next one was like an even bigger size difference where he had to go up against a Hawaiian sumo wrestler. And then after that was a kung fu expert. This guy kind of looked like Jason Scott Lee from Bruce Lee, the Dragon Story. It looked a little bit like that, like a high school version of that guy. And of course, a lot of these guys are mean. They're like bullies. So he's just put in these bad situations, either defending a girl or whatever. A lot of times it's because he has a crush on this girl, and he ends up in this bad situation. Um, and so yeah, when he was fighting against the Jason Scott Lee, this Bruce Lee type of characters, there he had to cross train in kung fu, and one of his coaches, guy that was helping him out, pretty much looked like a Jean Claude Van Damme, So you have these wild, crazy characters throughout in here, and as crazy as it all sounds, it to me is a lot feels a lot more realistic than Grappler Baki, because with Grappler Baki you're going into extremes, like this is the best dude in the world, this is the ultimate so and so, this is the best ever Aikidoka or whatever, and these are the guys that Baki is fighting against. He is in a tournament against the best of the best. Whereas this kid is a high school kid going up against other high school students. Yeah, they're formidable, like crazy formidable. I mean, but at the end of the day, they're still high school kids. So it just feels a lot more tangible. I like the comedy. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The techniques and stuff in there, a lot of times they're pulling from actual real fights. So they mention stuff like Maurice Smith in K1, or Ken Shamrock doing a suplex and knocking out a guy over in Japan. Just they pull from real life matches like that, the Holland kickboxers and stuff like that, and I really, really like that. And once again, even though he's a kickboxer, it's not limited. He's using, I mean, every martial arts trick in the book, So even though his main style is kickboxing, because of his coach, I mean, he cross trained in kung fu. He cross trained in like ancient Japanese martial arts. So he's going beyond kickboxing, and definitely he's fighting people from other styles. So I really, really like that aspect. Yeah, so for me, definitely this is my personal favorite martial arts manga. Um, you know, when I think of martial arts manga, one of the most nostalgic is Fist of the North Star, but that one is so epic, and that one is yeah, it's so epic, and it's not just about the martial arts in there; it's also about the post-apocalyptic future, and that kind of stuff. So it goes beyond just a martial arts thing. You know what I mean? So to me, this is a much more pure martial arts manga. So what I'm saying is I don't want to put them in the same category. You know what I mean? Fist of the North Star like stands on its own kind of thing. And then this, I would like compare this to like Grappler Baki or Kengan Ashura or a bunch of other martial arts manga that's out there, which there's plenty, and I've read some of them. But yeah, this is for me by far the favorite. When I asked like other people's opinion, because for me this was like so relatable, me being a normal person and someone who wanted to do martial arts to become stronger, which is this guy's case, um, and going up against bullies and wanting to do fights against people from other styles and all that. It works great for me, and plus he cross trains, so it's like perfect for me, right? I asked another guy who's read a lot of martial arts manga, and he's also a martial arts instructor over in Japan. I asked him his opinion of what he thought about this, and he said it's just the same pattern over and over and over again. I guess to me that kind of sounds like The Walking Dead, where the same shit just happens over and over. So for me, that works. I like the formula, so why change it? I can understand that a lot of people might get tired of that formula. Um, I almost expect that formula, and I didn't want them to deviate. Only in the last fight did it deviate from the formula because the guy he was supposed to fight ended up losing to someone totally unexpected. And so the last boss all of a sudden got replaced last second. And you're going, what? He was supposed to be fighting this guy the whole time. He was gearing up for it. And then it's somebody else now. And then he fights that guy, but they don't even show that match. And then he ends up being transported. So apparently he won, but he's jacked up. A lot of times he is after the match anyway. He's jacked up, and then he gets transported to where that guy came from, that the new last boss, which was Russia. So he ends up in Russia, and they're like, you got to prove yourself here now, and that's where it ends. And I guess to me it almost seemed like the author got a little tired of the pattern because the pattern is he he like he goes to a new place, like a new school, like he transfers to a new school. The first issue is where he starts first semester as a high school student for the first time, so it always starts new like that. So he's in a new place, and then there trouble happens. Usually he finds a girl that he thinks is super cute, and then she has a boyfriend, or this other guy is trying to hit on her, or they don't like him looking at her, or something along those lines, and he gets in trouble. And that guy, of course, the bully, is a martial arts expert. And then he has to now train. He's trying to avoid it. He doesn't want it to happen, but he's now stuck to where he has to fight this guy. And now he has to train, and the training is, like I said, it seems totally silly and illogical. Like, it don't make sense. Why are you training like this? Um, and 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 then he fights. He fights the guy, and you see that you see it all reveal itself. So that's the pattern, And once again, I really like the pattern. And yeah, so this goes from volume 1 all the way to 18. Yeah, I really really enjoyed it, and it's too bad that it probably won't make it out of Japan. And honestly, 1 through 18 is not that long. I wish they had more, but compared to some of the other successful mangas that's been out there, they produced way more volumes. So, like for example, Grappler Baki is way more popular, way more successful. I think that author was able to expand the story, whereas this guy kind of kept it in that same pattern. So maybe that is what worked for me, but that is also maybe what ultimately ruined it. Ruined it as in it ended the story. And short and sweet sometimes is a good thing. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.